Hello, Love Languages class. This is Pastor Craig Brown, First Lutheran Church. This is our fifth and final video covering this book, The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman, learning how to love each other in a way that you feel loved. I just love this material, and it really goes back to a chance meeting that my wife Katie and I had in 2024 with Dr. Gary Chapman. This is a picture of us in Marion, Iowa, Thriving for Lutherans. And our representative, Teresa Hackemiller, let me know that they were putting on this event with Dr. Chapman for pastors and for church members, for anyone. And we had a chance to go and meet him, and it really was a thrill of a lifetime. I was just amazed at what a down-to-earth person he was. And here he's got millions and millions of books sold, New York Times best-selling author, and his words have just transformed at least my wife and I's life and many other couples' lives. And here he was, well into his older years and still just up there for an hour talking about all this stuff that he's passionate about and how it really has relevancy in our lives today still, even though this book was written 30 years ago now, in the early 1990s. So I just am so glad that you've invested into this stuff and you're looking at your relationship. I think God cares about relationships. We've talked about this for 5 weeks. Right from Jesus' very first miracle, turning water into wine, it was at a wedding reception. And I don't think that was by accident. I think that shows that God cares about holy matrimony and two becoming one flesh. He also cares about families and really the building block of society, if you will. It goes beyond something spiritual and just scientific. We need each other to procreate, to carry on the species. So we're just brought together by God, one another, to be with each other and to love one another. And it really does take work, and I'm so proud of the work that you are doing to make that happen. This Sunday, I want to put in a plug here before we get going on the content, that we will have our final discussion. So if you haven't been a part of them yet, or if you were at the first one and haven't been back since, that's a lot of you, please come and share what you think your primary love language is. That'll help other people think about it. There's a survey that I'll try to link out to you, real short. They can kind of help you discover your primary love language. So check that out and join the discussion at 10:10 a.m. in the youth room this Sunday, Palm Sunday, if you can make it. And if not, thank you again for all the ways that you plugged in here through the videos and through texting me and emails and so forth. And of course, reading the great book, The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman. Today's content, we'll be looking at chapter 10, that love is a choice, as well as chapter 11, love makes a difference, and loving the unlovely. I'm going to spend a lot of my time with love is a choice, and I want to read you the very first part of the first paragraph in that chapter, because I think it's so powerful. Dr. Chapman says, how can we speak each other's love language when we are full of hurt, anger, and resentment over past failures? And let's face it, you know what percentage of couples fight? It's 100%. All of us have disagreements in our relationship and tough times. It's just a part of being in a relationship with another human being. It's learning to lessen, hopefully, the severity of those disagreements or avoid them altogether with good communication, and then and loving each other through those. And then on the backside, being able to forgive one another and kind of try to make it right, if at all possible, to be in love with each other. So I think Gary is kind of referring more to really egregious hurts. I think of infidelity. I've dealt with it all as a counselor. Just not really caring for the other person, just kind of being AWOL or kind of living your own lives separately. But it certainly goes for all type of hurts. So he asks, how can we speak each other's love language when we're full of hurt, anger, resentment over past failures? He says the answer to that question lies in the essential nature of our humanity. We are creatures of choice. That means we have the capacity to make poor choices, which all of us have done. And when we have spoken critical words, we often do hurtful things. We're not proud of these choices, although they may seem justified to us in the moment. Poor choices, Gary says, in the past don't mean that we must make them in the future. Instead, we can say, I'm sorry. I know I have hurt you, but I would like to make the future different. I would like to love you in your language. I would like to meet your needs. I have seen marriages, Gary says, rescued from the brink of divorce when couples make the choice to love. And I have too. Finally, Gary says, love doesn't erase the past, but it makes the future different. I just can't help but think that Jesus, our living Lord, God with flesh on, came to us in Jesus Christ and changed the whole world with his love. It was love that changed the world. It was God's heart of love for all humanity that made things different, that changed our future. We would have lived in the same world where we despised one another, where we were cut off from God, where there was anger and resentment and bitterness of us towards God, of God toward us, us towards each other. But God chose to break that cycle and make things completely different, a different future for us by coming and taking the strong act, making a choice to come here to this earth as one of us in Jesus Christ and love us fully and forgive us fully and embrace us fully. And that changed all of our futures. So we can do the same as human beings. We are created in God's image. And if God made a choice to make an action to come here and make our futures different, we who are created in God's image can certainly make a choice to make our futures from this very point, the moment you're watching this video, can make your future different from this very point on forward. But it is a choice. We do have to think about our decisions to love one another. Gary says we did not learn to speak each other's love language. If we don't learn to speak each other's love language sufficiently, we can live with a love tank only half full for several years. And some marriages experience this, don't they? It goes several weeks or months or years just kind of feeling in this emptiness. And we have to know that we have to make a choice to meet that. He gives one example of a couple that was having trouble. And he says, after some years of living with an empty love tank, she will likely fall in love with someone else. The cycle will begin all again. And it says, meeting my wife's need for love is a choice that I make every day. This is what I want to get to, sorry. If I know her primary love language and I choose to speak it, her deepest emotional needs will be met and she will feel secure in my love. Deciding to love somebody and learning their love language, which most likely, as we've learned, is going to be different than yours. So that's maybe the biggest aha for me is I have a different love language than my spouse. I feel loved in a different way than my spouse does. And I try to tend to love her in the way that I feel loved. And oftentimes she wasn't feeling the love because I wasn't loving her in a way that she likes to feel loved. So by learning her language, learning her to speak her language, almost like learning a foreign language, learning to love in a different way and making that choice, I made that choice to love her in a different way. She then felt loved and then was able to reciprocate. I often tell people you can't change your spouse. You just can't do it. Oh, I wish he would do this more. I wish she would be this way more or be more attentive or do this or that. And you can't change your spouse, but you can change the relationship. And the only thing you can control is you. And if you change you and how you're speaking and acting and towards that person, maybe they do something that kind of rubs you the wrong way, to not let it rub you the wrong way, but to speak kindly back to them or to share that it rubs you the wrong way. That's a brave thing to do, to share that in love. You can change you and how you're viewing that other person and how you're interacting with that other person and trying to love them in a way that they feel loved, then that can change the whole circle. That will definitely change the dynamic of the relationship and therefore kind of changes the other person because they're part of that two-person relationship, right? So by you changing you, by you making a choice to make a difference or to make a choice differently, you will change the relationship. Finally, in the chapter, Gary says, you see, when an action doesn't come naturally to you, it is a greater expression of love. So if this is hard for you, which it is for many of us, to learn a new language, if you take the steps to do that and put in the homework and the hard work to learn your partner's love language and then to be attentive on a daily basis almost, if not weekly, make sure you're attending to their love language needs, you'll get credit for it because you're putting in the work. And that makes it almost a greater expression of love, Gary says. And he says, ultimately, comfort is not the issue. We are talking about love, and love is something you do for someone else, not something you do for yourself. So this is not something that you are doing so that you'll feel better, or that you'll feel more in love with the person. You're making this choice to love someone in a way that they love. Love is a choice because you're putting their needs first. And again, I think that goes back to the biblical model: is God put our needs first. Christ put our needs to be in a relationship back with God and restore that relationship ahead of his own needs, which would be to live. He died. He literally died for us on the cross. But he chose instead to give his life so that we may have life with God. And he put our needs first in front of his own. There's an old expression: if you want true joy in this life, it's JOY, Jesus first, others second, yourself third. Now that doesn't mean you're putting yourself down. Don't hear it that way. You're still in the top three. You're still very important. You got to take care of you. But even above yourself is putting others first. And even above that is putting Christ first, because Christ put us first. So when you think about that, our living God who created you, and before you were with your spouse, before you were even drawing breath in this world, you were knit in your mother's womb by our Creator God, by God's self, and you and God had a relationship. And that God loves you and created you and made you in God's image. And then we are to reciprocate that relationship. If it's the first relationship we have, even before our parents, is us and our Creator and our God in our mother's womb, we are drawn like an infant is drawn to his mother. We are drawn to our Creator, and we are meant to be with our Creator, and we will return to our Creator thanks to Jesus Christ. Once we die, we will for all eternity be with our Creator and all of our loved ones, of course. But that's the most first and primary relationship, and that's why we say Jesus first. Because God chose us in Jesus, so we choose God in Jesus. He's our link, the God among us that we know and love, and that has sacrificed and loved us and made a choice for us, so we make a choice for Jesus. Jesus first, then others second. You have to choose to put other people's needs above yours. And that's what I think Gary is getting at here when he says that love is something you do for someone else, not something you do for yourself. You're not loving someone so that you'll get something out of it, but you're loving someone because we're called to love others. We're called to put other people first. When you're in a marriage, you're called to put your spouse above you and their needs, and look out for them. Be their number one protector and provider and lover and defender. That is your role as their spouse, is to put them above you. And again, it's not that you put yourself down. I don't want to hear. Don't hear me in that. I'm not saying you don't matter, you don't count. You do count. You're number three. Take care of yourself. You need to take care of you. And I don't want anyone to read this as I'm saying abusive relationships are okay, or someone putting you down is okay. It is not. It is not okay. But I'm saying that when you're having difficulty in a relationship, a marriage or a friendship or whatever, try to look at that other person's perspective, see what you can do for them to put them first above you, and try to repair the relationship. There's something we call repair attempts in counseling. That is someone who extends an olive branch when there's a difficulty or a fight, or say, hey, we need to talk about this, or I just want to let you know I still love you even though this is going on. These repair attempts are important and need to happen from both sides, from someone looking out for someone else who is your spouse and your mate. So I think that's kind of what I want to focus on here. And again, just thank you so much for being with us in this class, and for investing in the videos, and investing in the book, and investing in each other. And this marriage isn't a 5-week class, right? It's an ongoing adventure. But I am just so encouraged when I think about all the broken relationships in the Bible we read about, that as I've grown older and matured, I'll say it this way. When I was younger, I felt like I would read the Bible as a kid and think, wow, these people are really messed up in the Bible. And good thing we're not like that anymore. We've been enlightened. We've got things figured out. We're a different society than it was in the Bible. And as I've gotten older, I realized, we're pretty much the same people that were in the Bible. We commit murder and we hate each other and we have adultery and we don't speak well of each other. I mean, right? Look around what's happening today in our world. It's kind of gross. And we need to be reminded that love is a choice, that we have to do things to love one another, even when someone is different than us, even when they vote a different way or look different or live their lives different or think about the world differently. Love is a choice, and we can love all those people, including our very mates. Don't let the evil one divide you, lie to you, whisper to you untruths about your spouse. Don't listen to all that garbage. Don't listen to the gossip. Go to your spouse and talk to them and work things out and really love one another and try to love one another. If you need help, and all marriages need help from time to time, come and see me, or I can get you to another professional counselor that can help you work through it. It doesn't mean anything has to be wrong with your relationship or broken to get some counseling or to get some help along the way. I use the analogy of going in for an oil change in my car. How often you go in for an oil change? I do it about every 5,000 miles, even though they tell me the synthetic oil can go to 8 or 9 or 10,000 miles. My dad in me says, I got to do it every 5,000 miles. He did every 3,000 miles, but that was before synthetics and people would push it to 4,000 or 5,000 miles. He said, I can go in every 3,000 miles, and that's what I did. And now when I get synthetic oil, I go every 5,000 miles. But what would happen if you drove your car and you never got an oil change? If you never went in and got a tune-up, what would happen to the engine? I'll tell you what would happen. It would burn up. It needs new oil, new clean oil constantly. It needs attention and changing things out in an engine to keep the gears moving smoothly and the pistons firing and everything working. If you don't pay any attention to an engine, it'll seize up, it'll heat up, it'll overheat, it'll just die. And the same thing is true with a relationship, with a marriage. If you never give it any attention, it will lock up, it will heat up, it will seize up, it will die. But when you go in for counseling or you read a marriage book or work on your relationship, have hard conversations with your spouse, these are good things, friends. These are tune-ups that you're doing, just like taking your car in for servicing. And I use that analogy to a lot of guys because they don't, some guys stereotypically don't like counseling or don't like to think about working on their relationship. But you really do. Just like taking care of your car or your automobile, you need to take care of your relationship. And we are here for you. At First Lutheran, I'm here for you. Pastor Katie will be here for you. Pastor Steve. Michael Beckman, now spiritual director. Sheila Anderson is also a spiritual director in our visitation chapel. We are so blessed with so many resources here, and we know a myriad of resources too. If you don't want one of us, or you want somebody else, we can help you with that. So I'm all in on this. This is one of my favorite things to do, is to teach and talk about marriage and relationships. And I'm just so grateful again for you being with us, and can't wait to see some of you on Sunday as we talk about our 5 love languages, finding the secret to love that lasts. Thanks, and God bless.